You are standing in the middle of a war zone, but there are no explosions. There is no screaming. There is no smell of gunpowder. It is 3 a.m. The only light comes from the blue glow of your phone screen, and the only sound is the hum of the refrigerator. But your heart is racing like you're running for your life. You are fighting a battle, but you're fighting it in a silence so loud it hurts. This is the modern condition. We are fighting the most intense wars of our lives, wars for our careers, wars for our relationships, wars for our own sanity, and we are losing. We feel paralyzed. We feel stuck. We feel exhausted not from physical labor, but from the crushing weight of simply trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? People tell you to hustle harder. They say, manifest it. They say, grind while they sleep. But what if that is exactly why you're losing? 5,000 years ago, on a dusty plain called Kurukshetra, the greatest warrior of the ancient world felt this exact same paralysis. Arjuna stood between two massive armies, looked at the impossible choice in front of him, and his knees literally buckled. He didn't need a motivational quote. He didn't need a productivity hack. He needed a complete operating system rewrite. And the man standing next to him, Krishna, didn't give him a weapon. He gave him a mindset, a blueprint for fighting smarter, not harder. And if we unpack this ancient dialogue, we find that it isn't really about a chariot war at all. It is a field manual for the silent battles you are fighting right now. Let's look at the battlefield. Not the one with arrows, but the one inside your ribcage. Why does modern life feel so difficult? We are the most connected, resource-rich generation in human history. Yet, statistically, we are the most anxious, depressed, and confused. The reason is a fundamental flaw in our strategy. We are trying to solve internal problems with external tools. You feel empty, so you buy something. You feel insecure, so you chase a promotion. You feel lonely, so you scroll through 1,000 faces on a screen. We are trying to calm the storm by shouting at the waves. It is exhausting, and it is mathematically impossible. Arjuna's breakdown wasn't because he was a coward. It was because he was overwhelmed by the consequences of his actions. He was freezing up because he was obsessed with the future. What if I lose? What if I win and it feels terrible? What if I make the wrong choice? Does that sound familiar? That is the paralysis of the modern mind. We are so terrified of the outcome that we cannot take the first step. Krishna sees this paralysis and he dismantles it with his first major teaching, the law of action, or karma yoga. Now stay with me, because this is often misunderstood. Krishna tells him, you have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. In our hyper-capitalist, results-obsessed world, this sounds insane. Not entitled to the fruit? Then why climb the tree? Why work the late nights if not for the bonus? Why go to the gym if not for the mirror selfie? But Krishna is identifying the exact source of your suffering, the entitlement. The obsession with the result is actually what kills your performance. Think about it. Why do you procrastinate on that massive presentation? It's not because you're lazy. It's because you are terrified the result won't be perfect. You are paralyzed by a future that hasn't happened yet. Krishna proposes a radical shift. What if you severed the link between your effort and your ego? Imagine a master chef. When she is in the zone, chopping the basil, searing the scallop, balancing the acidity, she is not thinking about the Yelp review. She is entirely lost in the act of cooking. The joy is in the precision of the knife, not the applause of the customer. If her happiness depends on the customer, she is a slave to their taste buds. But if her happiness comes from the act of excellence, she is free. This is the unpack technique for your career. Stop asking, will this make me rich? And start asking, can I do this task with absolute focus and mastery right now? When you focus on the fruit, you are anxious. When you focus on the action, you are powerful. You have 100% control over the effort and 0% control over the outcome. Krishna is telling you to stop betting your happiness on things you cannot control. But what about the emotional roller coaster? The days where you feel like a god because your boss praised you, and the days you feel like garbage because a client sent a rude email? This brings us to the second pillar of this blueprint, samatvam, or the art of equanimity. Krishna defines yoga not as stretching, but as evenness of mind. Most of us are living on the emotional stock market. We day trade our self-worth. The market goes up, we are happy. The market crashes, we are depressed. We are ships without anchors, tossed around by every wave of circumstance. Samatvam is the art of building a keel. It is the ability to stand in the middle of a hurricane and not be blown over. This doesn't mean becoming a robot. It doesn't mean you don't feel pain or joy. It means you stop identifying with the weather. Imagine the ocean. On the surface, there are 50-foot waves, chaos, foam, and storms. But if you drop down just 30 feet, there is silence. There is stillness. The storm is still happening up there, but it isn't touching the deep. Krishna is inviting you to live in the deep. So when your partner starts an argument, or you get rejected from a job, you feel the sting. You acknowledge it, but you don't let it capsize your entire identity. You zoom out. You realize that this moment is a tiny blip on a timeline that stretches for eternity. This perspective, this zoom out, is your shield. It allows you to make decisions based on wisdom, not based on a temporary chemical spike of anger or fear. And finally, we have to address the deepest ache of the modern soul, the feeling of being lost, of not knowing who you are. This is the crisis of Dharma. We live in a copy-paste society. We scroll through Instagram and see someone else's life and think, I should do that. We see a billionaire and think, I should build that. We try to wear other people's armor and it crushes us. Krishna is brutal on this point. He says, it is better to fail in your own dharma than to succeed in the dharma of another. Let that sink in. It is better to fail at being you than to succeed at being a fake version of someone else. We spend decades climbing ladders only to realize they are leaning against the wrong wall. We become doctors because our parents wanted it, or lawyers because it pays well, and we wonder why we feel a slow, creeping death inside. That is the pain of violating your nature. Finding your dharma, your intrinsic purpose, isn't about a lightning bolt moment. It's an excavation. It requires you to stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for clues. What are the things you do where time disappears? What are the problems in the world that actually make you angry enough to want to solve them? What are you naturally good at, even if it seems small? Your anxiety is often just a signal that you are out of alignment with your dharma. You are playing a role in a movie you didn't write. Krishna challenges you to put down the script society handed you and pick up the one written in your own DNA. He asks you to trust that your unique contribution, no matter how small, is essential to the cosmic order. So, here is the reality. The war isn't going away. The emails will keep coming, the bills will keep arriving, and the world will keep being chaotic. Krishna didn't transport Arjuna to a paradise. He sent him back into the war. But he changed the warrior. When Arjuna finally picked up his bow again, his hands weren't shaking. Not because the battle got easier, but because he realized he wasn't fighting for the prize anymore. He was fighting because it was who he was. He surrendered the outcome and mastered the moment. You have that same capacity. Right now, you can choose to step off the emotional roller coaster. You can choose to focus on the work in front of you with absolute love, regardless of the reward. And you can choose to be unapologetically yourself, even if it means walking a path no one else understands. Stop trying to control the wind. Adjust your sails. That is how you win.